Here's one from Michael. Eric, AEW's been around for 4 years now. Can you honestly name one storyline off the top of your head that has caught fire? I think they've amassed great talent, but I think the creative has lacked. I think this is a major point of difference with WWE. What do you think? So, listen, I think everybody can sort of, or at least I do, I reconcile that maybe the better stories are in WWE and maybe the better matches are in AEW. At least that's the way the internet likes to talk about it. And I wonder how much of that is just based on the bloodline? Would we still be talking about? It just feels as if, from my perspective, the internet wrestling community at large really likes to talk about matches. And I think maybe Tony's approach has been, let's super serve that. Like Forbidden Door is a great example. Like, there was a story for Omega and Ospreay, but not a story to the level of the bloodline. But then the bell rings and you're like, well, they're creating a whole new story bell to bell here. This is unbelievable. It's a different approach from WWE. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I don't know that it's necessarily a strategy. I think it's a coincidence. I think there are some dream matches out there, and there's some fantastic performers out there that Tony is obviously bringing in. But I would not say that the better matches are in AEW. I think occasionally we do see some great matches in AEW that stand out, but I also see a lot of slop and a lot of just not ready for primetime action in an AEW ring. So I'm not one of those people that go, oh, there's better wrestling in AEW. I think occasionally there are some fantastic matches in AEW because there's some great talent in there. But for the most part, I'm not impressed with a lot of what I see in the ring. I think it's very sloppy. Again, I don't want to be negative and pick things apart, so I'm not going to name names on this episode, but there was a lot of stuff last night that I saw that left me thinking to myself, you would never see that in a WWE ring.
Do you think that's because they've just had less repetition? I mean, the AEW schedule, all wrestling schedule is a lot lighter than it used to be, certainly even WWE, but AEW, I mean, a lot of those performers are working at best once a week, and oftentimes, because the roster's so big, less than that. And so do you think that's just a lack of repetition, maybe?
Could be, especially for some of the younger talent, but there's some of the older talent, veteran talent that have been around for a while that just don't look like they should be in that ring, quite honestly, in a pay-per-view.
I think when I was referencing quote-unquote better matches, I want to clarify, I'm not suggesting that AEW has better in-ring performers. I just feel like WWE maybe has more gaga and more skits and more story. Just as a function of a 2-hour show, it feels like there's more backstage and more in-ring promos and all of that in a WWE show, whereas maybe we focus on longer matches. So you might have the same match count, but a WWE match maybe goes 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. Maybe AEW has multiple matches that go through a break or two. If you were formatting a show today in 2023, is there a ratio of gaga to in-ring that would be a home run for you? Like, can you do too much of one or the other is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, no, look, I remember as far back as the early 90s, that was the big discussion, amongst hardcore wrestling fans is match time.
The number of minutes in
ring. Yeah, the number of
ring.
minutes in ring. And it's like, what the hell are you keeping track of here? Because it's a number of valuable, entertaining minutes that matter.
Yes.
And I think, one of my criticisms of WWE, because I am critical of WWE when I feel that there's something to be critical of, and I try to be constructive in that criticism. Sometimes my delivery makes it sound like I'm taking personal shots, and I try to catch myself when I do that. But I think the backstage interviews that I see in WWE suck. I think it takes the product down. So many of those backstage interviews, first of all, the talent is trying to memorize something that somebody else wrote for them. It's not even really in their own voice, and the talent isn't really that good more often than not in those backstage promos. So they just don't have any, they don't benefit the show. I would do less of that and more of the things that actually do work. The entire presentation of the person holding the stick and joining me now, doing that stand-up interview, it's so dated and so ineffective. I'd love to see a different presentation of that I think could be much better with less time involved.
Yes.
In terms of a ratio in terms of action to backstage, probably 80-20. 75-25 would probably be a great percentage in terms of action versus backstage, or Gaga, as you said?